Mark Kotsay show right here on A's Cast and A's Cast Live.
Hi, Townie.
You're going really good right now. I mean, not only have the backward hat and the glasses, but I mean, just in life, you're going good right now, aren't you? Feeling pretty good about yourself.
I tried to come out with the younger look, even though the white beard isn't gonna.
This is like the Cal State Fullerton Phil Nevin look.
No, but he did have the Oakleys on first in college, I think.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
We found out we're they always kind of tip us off about stuff because we got to be ready for it, and then we're sworn to secrecy. We can't say anything, so I couldn't text you. But we knew about it when they made us. We got down here early for it. We knew that your coaches didn't know. We knew that the players didn't know. We knew John Fisher was coming in and was going to make the announcement. And I got to tell you, sitting in the back of the room when you guys came in, you just feel the change. You just feel that we felt it with Severino. We felt it with Rooker. But now it was just oozing the change in this organization. Before we get to the announcement and everything, when they came to you, I mean, you have the longest contract in baseball now. I mean, when for managers, what was it like when they came to you and John Fisher said, "Yes, I want to make this commitment"? Mark Kotsay.
No, it's great. We had a great conversation about our future and about the ball club, and for me, again, I go back to just my playing days here and how comfortable it is, how great the relationships are inside, to be able to walk into what you call work, but not feel like work. You're walking into family every day. Says just so much about the continuity and the loyalty to this organization. You walk into guys like, Adam Roden, who's been here since he was 17 years old, probably. Matt Weiss, who's been here equally as long. Mikey Thalbloom. Just the fabric of the A's has been built, for so many years that I can't, I don't really know what it's like anywhere else right now.
There's no doubt about it. And I walked over and I talked to John Fisher, our owner, and he said he believes you're one of the great leaders he's ever been around. And he said, I'd run through a wall for him. And we don't get to talk to John Fisher that much, right? So for John Fisher and for him to say to me, he believes you're one of the great leaders, I mean, that's saying something.
That's a great compliment. It's a really high compliment, and I'm very thankful for that. This group of guys, I get the privilege of leading them and watching them go about their, work every day and continuing to build these relationships with these players. And it's been fun, to have a guy like Brent Rooker here alongside for the ride through Sacramento and into Vegas. There's a certain level of confidence that builds, not just for me, but for these players that are, want to be here and are excited about being here. And the free agents that we have brought in with Severino, with Leclerc, with Urshela, guys that have established careers that are, excited about joining this group that they've watched for the last season, year and a half or two, come together and really have success at the end of last season. They're excited about that.
Now, there's 30 teams right now talking about how they believe in themselves, right? And you've been through this process with multiple teams. But I want you to tell our audience right now how your young group, your core players are very confident, right? They've kind of grown up. They really believe. Talk about how there is that true belief inside that clubhouse right now about the 2025 athletics.
Yeah, they have expectations, which is different from the 23 or 24 season. I think the expectations the last two seasons have been, how are we going to win games, and, how am I going to establish myself, and, what's my year going to look like? And instead of the my year or, am I going to be in the big leagues for the full season? What do I have to do to be here? Now it's more the focus is how are we going to win games? How are we offensively going to game plan to get the starter out of the game and get into the bullpen, to beat a Gilbert, to beat a Snell, we've got to do this together. You hear that type of talk, and that's the right type of talk.
Yeah, it's amazing when guys start playing together, and it's like that inning in Game 5 of the World Series where the Dodgers blew it open and not one ball went out of the ballpark. It was about putting the ball in play. It was about base running. It was about playing the game the right way. That wins games. And when guys are doing it together and they're not playing just for themselves, but they're playing for each other, that's the kind of things you start to see happen that I hope we're going to see in 2025. It's how you win. I love it. Everybody throws 100 miles an hour. I love guys hit home runs and everything, but there's a way you win games on a day-to-day basis, and it's not always hitting the ball out of the ballpark. It's great when you hit the ball out of the ballpark, but there's going to be some days where you don't hit the ball out.
Yeah, no, you said it very well. Last season, we scored a lot of runs based on the home run. I think we were 8th in the league in home runs, and you can continually hear my message of, hey, we need to have innings. We need to build innings. We need to string hits together. The importance of getting a runner in from third base with less than 2 outs and not just relying on the home run wins games. It wins more games. And I think that they understand that now. I think that they're going to see a mindset about that that's different. I think these guys have learned a lot in the last year and a half. We still have so much more to learn, and I talked about that a little bit in the press conference, especially with me, the growth over the last 3 years. I think in this position, the more experience you get, the better you're going to get, and I think you can speak to the players. The more experience they have, the better they're going to get, and understanding how to win games. And again, it takes talent to win games, but it takes a team to win a championship, and that's really what we're focused on.
Now, it's real easy to ask you about your best players, but when I'm thinking about right now, it's the 40-man roster and the depth that you really need to get through a season. And, like guys I've been interviewing today, whether it's a JT Ginn or it's a Brady Basso or whoever, Kurtz is coming. Right. And I realize that like your job, yeah, you got to get the guys ready who are going to be on the 26-man roster now. How important is it for you to establish the relationship and the trust with the guys who may not start the season here, but there's a good chance at some point they got to show up and they got to help you win games?
Yeah, it's really important. Yesterday, Eddie Sprague, who's director of our minor league development,
World Series champion, yeah.
Asked if I wanted to speak to the guys that are in mini camp, and I said, yeah, absolutely. So I went over to mini camp and talked to the young kids over there, and made them aware, like, hey, you're not that far away from a big league opportunity. And when you get to the big leagues, there's a certain level of expectation, but there's also a certain level of patience that goes along with it. And but getting the depth that it takes, we can't go out and use our resources for depth in terms of free agency. We have to target the free agents that we feel we can bring in to impact this ball club. But depth comes from our draft. Depth comes from developing those players that we sign. It's the third, the fourth, the fifth round guys that you don't, get to see on a daily basis, but that are over in the minor league side, grinding their way to become a part of this organization, to have impact at the major league level. And again, Brett Harris, Daryl Hernaiz, you talk about those guys that we brought up last year, didn't have the success that they wanted to have, but came into camp with a different attitude, a different work ethic. And I think you're going to see different players this year when they get their opportunity.
Well, we've talked a lot about pitching, and your bullpen is going to be really, really strong. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. You got a lot of velocity there. You got multiple guys who can close. You got an all-star closer in Mason Miller. But this is really the year where you look at where we've talked about going to get some starting pitching. And when you bring in Severino, a guy who's pitched in New York for both the Yankees and the Mets, he's pitched in a ton of playoff games. Springs, we'll see, hopefully healthy, all-world type stuff. JP Sears has just been so consistent for you, just an absolute grinder, and Beto, and then you think about Estes, and then you go into Spence and Basso and Ginn and all that. You've got depth, but you've got some really good arms. So since you've taken over as manager, wouldn't you say this is the best opportunity you have starters-wise?
I think as a group of five, it definitely is the best group of five we're going to leave camp with. Knock on wood that everybody stays healthy. There's still some competition here in camp for that last spot in the rotation or two. I think like you talked about, Severino, Springs, Sears, you can pencil those guys in for sure. I think Beto came off, a limited amount of starts, but what we saw in those starts was pretty remarkable. His numbers were really good. The role that Estes provided in his starting games for us was great. He's a bulldog competitor. JT Ginn at the end of the year got a few starts. You love that last start, the Coliseum against the Rangers, right? So there's depth. There's some guys that these names you won't really know about, but the Perkins, the Barnett kid that we got from Kansas City in the trade. We roll 5 to kid that might see the bullpen. He's got to make it out of camp, but Murdoch, he's a big 6'8" right-hander that throws hard. So yeah, there's definitely more depth than we've started out with that has touched the big leagues and knows what it's like and knows what to expect.
Man, when you ink up a long-term contract, that means you ink up our relationship for long-term. You're going to be a lot of A's Cast Live in your future, my friend.
I enjoy your show. I enjoy talking and, sharing what we can with the fan base and, look forward to many more shows.
Well, I just tell you what, it's been an honor, to play against you in college, to watch you then grow. As a professional, an unbelievable 17-year career, and then watch you through the years with the A's and being on the staff and now being the leader. And then when John Fisher shows up and all of a sudden you got this long contract, we're sitting in the back. I'm just like, what am I watching, man? I've been around here a long time. I've never seen this, right? I mean, it's just the symbol of change is everywhere amongst us. And I'm proud that you're our leader, and I can't wait to see how this thing goes forward. It's going to be a lot of fun. It means I definitely got to get you that sponsor.
Go to work, Townie. Do what you can, man.
You're going to be around for a long time. I got to take care of it, but congratulations.
Great
stuff.
Thanks for having us.